All right, everybody. It looks like we are live now. We are here with an emergency episode of Niner Nuts. I'll go ahead and take that down. Here we are. Happy Halloween, everybody, and welcome to this emergency episode of Niner Nuts. I am Dan here along with Batman this time.
What's up, Niner Nation?
We wanted to go ahead and hop on here, talk to you all about the enormous trade that happened. It was almost two trades, allegedly, but we still have the one to talk about, guys. A lot of y'all have been saying, and I agree to certain extents, that a edge rusher is someone we need, even though we already signed Randy Gregory. But John Lynch, being the general manager that he is, he loves to wheel and deal at the trade deadline. Think of Christian McCaffrey, think of Jordan Willis, think of Charles Omenihu. We have received Chase Young, a defensive end from the Washington Commanders, in exchange only for a third round pick, which is going to be a low third round pick because we have found out that this third round pick is one of our compensatory picks that we got in one of our staff departures. We don't know which specific one, but we've been very fortunate in getting compensatory picks for losing, say, Mike McDaniels, Robert Saleh, D'Amico Ryans. It was one of those compensatory picks. It wasn't even a real quote unquote pick, James, that we gave up for him. And we're only on the hook for a little over $500,000. He is going to be an unrestricted free agent. But if he does leave, that means we get a compensatory pick right back because he was a first round pick. So, I mean, really, I'll open the floor to you, man. Like, what was your reaction when you saw this news only 3 hours ago?
Well, earmuffs. Oh fuck, because it's like, that's the arms race between the Birds and the Niners. Like what has happened over the past couple of weeks, and just the wheeling and dealing. John goes out and gets Randy Gregory. Howie says, I'll see you one more. I'll get Kevin Byard. And John comes in and gets Chase Young. And we were probably this close to getting Jayon Johnson. So, it's just you're on mute.
That was the guy that you were fighting for after you got Byard locked in?
Yeah. So word came out maybe about half an hour, 45 minutes before the end of the deadline that the Steelers and the Eagles were bidding over Jayon Johnson for the Chicago Bears. And maybe about, maybe about 20 minutes later, it was like, nope, he's not going anywhere. So you can only imagine that whatever was out there, the deal between the Bears and the teams were done. It was just a matter of who could make him happy financially, and it doesn't seem like either team could have made him gave him an offer that he couldn't refuse,
right?
Basically. And so he's probably, this will probably be his last year in Chicago, and he'll end up on free agency to the highest bidder. So.
Oh, he for sure is going to be hitting free agency. I know we were trying to. I would imagine that's who Tim K from The Athletic was talking about. He said he had a source that said that they were trying to pull off one more trade. He didn't drop who the name was, but no. Earlier today, like 4 hours ago, like around like 3:30, 4 o'clock, we locked in Chase Young. We were talking in our text thread about it, but I guess my instant reaction to it was just, it's an embarrassment of riches what we have on the defensive line. I saw a lot of people using a gif of Thanos, like putting in the soul stone and then powering up, like, because that's how we've been collecting these defensive linemen over the past like 5 years. Arik Armstead came in with Buckner, and then we let go of Buckner, but now we got Nick Bosa on this side. We got Hargrave next to him. We got, presumably, Chase Young is going to start there now. And then behind these guys, we still have Javon Kinlaw, who looks like he's finally gotten it together this year. Drake Jackson, Randy Gregory, and then a low key name that's pretty good for us in his limited snaps, Kevin Givens. Like, I'll shout out him out. And we still deactivate Kalila Davis every week. I mean, we don't know really much about him because he gets deactivated every week. But when you just strictly look at those top 8 guys, oh my, just what is going on? We have so many Pro Bowlers, so many All Pros. We have absolutely no reason, especially now going forward, to be a team that's only going to get 15 more sacks the rest of the season, because that's where we're at right now. Or maybe after Cincinnati, it went up to 18. I can't remember, but less than 20 sacks after 8 weeks. That's just unacceptable anymore. And it's, yeah, it's, dude, it's on Steve Wilkes now. Like,
Steve
it's
Wilkes has no excuse. He has no excuse. He
I
has
understand
personnel.
I understand there's growing pains when it comes to somebody coming in and the coach having to adapt to the players. When usually when a coach comes in, they come in and it's like, oh right, I'm installing my philosophy. He's having to change his philosophy versus making the players change their philosophy. I can understand that there's been some growing pains with that, but when you have an all-pro in Talanoa Hufanga, you have an all-pro in Fred Warner, and you can put 4 Pro Bowlers on your line at any given time between Gregory, Chase, everybody. There's no excuse that we can't hold teams under 20 points a game again. There's no reason that we can't leave every game with that minimum 4 sacks or even at absolute minimum 3 sacks. Like, give us at least 3 for Christ's sakes. I feel like that's not that high a hurdle to jump over. I've already heard people calling this the Buckeye bookends because I forgot that Nick Bosa and Chase Young were teammates at Ohio State together, where they each had double-digit sack seasons in their respective time there. Like, it's an embarrassment of riches that that John Lynch was able to pull this off, and just I want to shake Steve Wilkes and all the defensive coaching staff. Like, just get better. Like, what are you going to be doing this offseason to get better? Like, my fiance does this to me. What are you going to do? Don't tell me you're going to do this different or better. Tell me what you're going to do to be better or different. I want to do that to Steve Wilkes because there's no reason with all this talent. Now we're adding Chase Young of all people to this. Like, I'm very happy, and yeah, I'm still worried. I'm really hoping that we have the late season revival that we've had the last 2 seasons. And with Chase Young, there's no reason to think this won't happen. But I don't know. Call it the sour taste I still have in my mouth after 3 consecutive losses, especially 2 of them were very, very winnable. And you could even argue the Bengals game was very winnable too, because we did kind of get it together in the second half of that game.
Well, think about this. If the Eagles and the 49ers meet in the playoffs, Chase Young will have played the Eagles 4 times this year. 4 times. He'll if they meet in the playoffs. Like, in a couple of weeks, he's going to face them for the 3rd time. So
I didn't realize you already played the Commanders twice already. That's funny.
Yeah, we played the Commanders twice. Both had Chase Young. Now he gets traded to the Niners. We get to see him again. And then if we meet in the playoffs, he'll play 4 times. I mean, when was the last time a player played the same team 3 times in a season? You know,
and we played the Seahawks 3 times last year. I'm just
that's with the playoffs.
Yeah,
like, I'm just talking regular season. Like, how often do you see it? Like, how often do players see the same team 3 times in a season? You know?
Super rare. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Chase Young will have familiarity with the Eagles line. Now, granted, you know, the Commanders line wasn't so great against the Eagles offensive line. You know, when it came to pass plays, but they couldn't get the run going, and that's partly, you know, because the Commanders beat them up front. And so, you know, with the run. So I think, you know, obviously this is a great addition. I mean, you know, this is crazy. This is insane. This is LA Rams stuff. But guess what? Really, did we give up any picks? Really?
Right. We still probably have Randy between Gregory and Chase's money. we still probably have 42 or 41 million dollars in cap space. We still probably have the most cap space in the league. Uh what? Oh my god, we didn't even it's a compensatory third pick and we didn't even give that up for Gregory. I think we gave up a 6th round pick for Gregory. Like we still not that the trade picks matter now since we hit the deadline, but we still have so much money to swoop in and pick up a free agent or if somebody just gets cut. And really, that's not that much to worry about for next year because all that cap space is going to carry over next year. It's going to be very minimal what we'll have to manage now. Chase, we won't probably have to worry about. Like, the long term has not really been affected by either of these signings. But for the right now, the immediate right now, yeah, dude, LA Rams move was the perfect way to describe this. Uh, offense, we're doing honestly, our offense has been pretty good the whole season, I think. So just adding more depth to the defense to try and keep the offense on the field. If this actually starts to gel the right way, we're going to have the scariest defensive line in the league. We already have the scariest 2 linebackers in the league. Our secondary just needs to be average for us to start finally looking like the best defense in the league again. Just how insane it is that I can't think of the last time, or I don't know, maybe the Rams could argue, the Bucks could argue, like having this many people on one side of the ball just be so dominant, like in their prime still. Because you could say that like Gronk wasn't in his prime when he went to the Bucks. Tom Brady's just Tom Brady. He's an outlier. Like truly in their prime. And let's throw this in, all on one side of the ball too. How many freaking superstars we have on this defense, man? Like
It's insane. It's really insane to think about. And
he's now our team leader in sacks, and he didn't get any of them with us. He has 5 sacks, and no one else has 5 sacks. The highest sack leader we have right now is still Drake Jackson at 3. Or maybe Arik Armstead tied him at 3. But yeah, no, Chase leads our team in sacks now with 5.
And you just hope that Steve Wilks can figure it out, how to get these guys opportunities to make some plays and collapse that pocket without, having to depend on the blitz all the time. I mean, that's really, if you see what Vic Fangio does, if you see what the Eagles do, if you see what Jonathan Gannon do, it's 5-man fronts. That's like the it thing in the league right now. You want to get pressure without having to really blitz. You show 5-man front and make it look like you're rushing 5, and then boom, surprise, 4 guys are rushing from over here, 4 guys are rushing in the middle, 4 guys are rushing over here. So, that's the way it goes. And that's the defense that, predominantly you guys have had over the last couple of years. And Steve Wilks comes in and is just different philosophy. And like, he's got to get it together because, the coordinators that have come before you have always used that system, that Vic Fangio system. And that the league, the good teams with the good defenses are using that system, minus maybe Jim Schwartz in Cleveland, but because I don't really watch them all that much. But Jim Schwartz's philosophy was rush 4 and get pressure with 4. But
he uses the wide 9 like we used to, like with D'Amico and Saleh. D'Amico and Robert both were similar in the way that they call it the wide 9. And we kind of stepped away from that with we've stepped away with that with Wilks. And Wilks is just kind of like, all right, 4 guys, just go bull rush. We're not gonna stint. We're not gonna trick anybody. It's going to be obvious that Hufanga is going to blitz. It's going to be obvious if Warner's going to blitz, and good luck defensive backs. Like there's no surprise. It's just winning by pure force, and pure force isn't enough. You need to have the strategy with it. And unless I'm not a 22 expert, I haven't had the time to watch the game film that intently, but from what I can see, we're not passing the eye test. We have a lot of very strong, talented people, but we're not maximizing any of their potential whatsoever. So sure, adding Chase, yeah, I'm all for adding depth to this incredibly important position, because if the quarterback's uncomfortable, then that team's done. I completely agree with that philosophy. But now I don't even know what the conversations would be if we don't succeed now with the ludicrous amount of talent that we have in the front seven. If you want to add Greenlaw, Warner, and Odom, there's just no excuse anymore. There's no excuse, and hopefully we're celebrating this after Jacksonville that it looks like it's working, and at the end of the day, yeah, we want to hoist the trophy, but so yeah, I'm not forgetting where we're at right now. I'm still very sour, but I am celebrating too. I don't want it to be lost that I am celebrating that we managed to get Chase Young. Like,
The
why
number
should
2 overall pick a couple years ago. Number
why
2
should we
overall.
why should we doubt John Lynch literally ever again? Like when he's pulled off the trades that he's done, that he's a wizard with money that he
Well,
is.
this is
Like,
this is the best trade he's ever. This is by far the best trade. Just when you
oh,
give,
so compared to Christian McCaffrey?
yeah, I do think that compared to Christian McCaffrey because of the capital that he had to give up for McCaffrey. Like if you look at pure talent of the player, what he had to give up to get the talent like that, this guy could walk after the season's over, and John has lost nothing. John will have lost nothing, and that's really, that's where this trade has to be the best on paper right now, the best trade that he's ever done because it's so four-dimensional chess. Like that really is like four-dimensional chess. I give John a hard time with some of his moves, but this move is brilliant. This is the type of move that his colleagues, especially over, in Philadelphia, it's something that Howie Roseman would have done.
Let's not forget either. I'll remind you if you didn't remember. Martin Mayhew used to be a part of our front office staff. The general manager of the Commanders now. He was a part of our front office staff.
Right.
So I don't know if it was his compensatory pick that went to Chase, ironically, but no, John had an in his pocket because he knew him so well before. So that definitely helped too. I don't want to say that it's the best. What you're saying in terms of compensation, yeah, it's one of the better trades that he's done for sure. But better than Christian McCaffrey, I'm not going to go that far yet, unless unless Chase is getting like 2 sacks a game the rest of the season. I want to see the long term before I can dub it that. But
Well,
from compensation, you're right.
via compensation, this is the best trade, especially for the talent level that you're getting with Chase Young. And Christian McCaffrey is a great trade, but essentially, I believe it was 4 picks he ended up having to give up for Christian McCaffrey.
But he's so been worth it.
So
He's so been worth it, dude.
yeah, but I'm just saying,
100 yards a game and at least 1, if not 2 touchdowns every single dude.
he's the
so
best
worth it.
he's the best player other than Trent Williams that you got via trade, but the talent level of the number 2 overall pick from a couple of years ago, who has been a force this year, to give up a compensatory third that if he leaves the team, you're not losing anything. And like, this is beyond, like I said, fourth dimensional chess. It's insane. It's the best, like, to me, on paper, like, even if Chase Young doesn't necessarily pan out to be the greatest defensive end or second defensive end ever in the 49ers history, or play up to a level of Christian McCaffrey, if he comes in and has, let's just say 6 sacks the rest of the season, that gives him 11 sacks for the season, or 7 sacks, 12 sacks. That's a really good season. People make money in this league off a 11, 12 sack season. And to give up a 3rd round pick that basically once he walks, you get back, I don't see how any trade that he's ever done has been better when you compare to the level of talent compared to what he gave up.
Right. In those regards, I do agree with you. And that's the impact on the team is going to be a big factor though. Like really the threshold now is not even that high for being an impact on the team because of how you laid out. It's not that much that we gave up for him, and it's not that much finance that we're paying this dude. And it helps that the 5th-year option got declined too, remember?
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't even have to worry about being on the hook for what, probably 18 million next year. I don't know what the edge rusher 5th-year option would be, but yeah, dude, I am disassociating a little bit because I'm still in a little bit of shock of that. Like, it was just what wonderful news to get today, dude. I know we talked about probably on mic and in our text chain. I didn't think honestly like it was a necessary thing for us to be that aggressive during trade this year because the talent is there. And Kyle said it before, it's on him. I'm not doing my job as a coach to maximize the players that we have because really all we did was get a little bit better than last year. And last year we made the NFC Championship game. But then John Lynch is just like, nah, bro, I got you. I'm going to get you Chase Young. Dude, like I'm not mad about this trade at all. There's no you have no idea how sad I'm going to be. Me and Eric, how sad we're both going to be if this doesn't work out and we end up being like 9-10 or not 9-10. If we end up being 9-7 and miss the playoffs or whatever it is now, since it's not 8-8.
9-8. Oh yeah.
If we end up being like 9-8 and we miss the playoffs, dude, like how ridiculously sad that's going to make me.
Oh man, that would be malpractice. That would be serious defensive malpractice to end up 9-8 with this team. This team is stacked, and maybe teams have figured out Purdy a little bit and figured out the offense and what they were doing, but Shanahan's got 2 weeks to come at the Jaguars, and the defense. Steve Wilks has 2 weeks to figure out, okay, what can we do to get pressure like they were last year and adapt to, the players that we have. Like Kyle and Steve Wilks have no excuse that this defense should not be in quarterbacks' faces like 30% of the snaps,
Even if it's defense. We have so many players to rotate through too. It doesn't have to just be on Chase and Bosa and Hargraves and Armstead's back. Like Kinlaw's finally looking really good. Givens is really good in splashes. We got Randy freaking Gregory. Like we're not even talking about him anymore. Like it's an embarrassment of riches that we have, and it should make our defensive backs better because less pressure is going to be on them. We still have Warner and Greenlaw that can terrorize over the middle. So while they got the line in their face, they can't even go in the middle. They have to test the safeties and the backs. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of at a loss for words now. Like, just how happy this trade makes me, and I just wish I could be happier because I'm again still sour over how this Midwest nightmare went. Hopefully, in sunny Florida with Chase Young and some time to breathe and reevaluate everything, we'll finally start getting on the right path. We get to sit with being behind the Seahawks, even like let alone losing the 1st seed. Now we're in 6th seed and the Seahawks are 4th. Like, yeah. But no, I don't know. I'm still processing this. We wanted to hop on here, listeners and viewers, to process this with you all for just a quick minute. We do have our 100th episode spectacular still coming out tomorrow. We were not aware this happened when we taped, obviously, so just keep that in mind.
The 100th episode, the emergency podcast before the 100th episode. So yeah. But I mean,
I'm just saying I don't really have much else to say about this other than this was a really nice surprise to get. This was just a wonderful surprise. I hope it pays out. I hope this was not I hope we're not just renting Chase Young for nothing.
I mean, yeah, that's what anybody hopes when you make this type of deal. And I give credit to Howie Roseman a lot on the show, but I think people need to realize what he did in 2017 when he traded for a 4th rounder for Jay Ajayi at the trade deadline, and then the Eagles go and win the Super Bowl with the best back that was in Miami at the time. And they go on to win the Super Bowl, the run game that they had and what they did. If that had not happened, if that had not worked out into a Super Bowl, days like today would not be happening. This would not be happening before that trade and the result of that trade. Trade deadlines were not like this. They were in baseball. They weren't every bit of baseball. Trade deadlines were like this because it was easy enough to go out and get a player at the end of July, bring them on your team. You don't get them accustomed to the way you do things. You had about 60 games to do that. In football, it was not like that because everybody thought wrongly that there's no way that you can get a guy in, get him acclimated to your system to make enough of a difference to push you over an edge to get to the Super Bowl. And now we know that's wrong. Now we know that that thinking is old school. We have days like today. We have the freaking Chase Young to the 49ers. I mean, you know, Leonard Williams to the Seahawks, all this stuff is because Howie Roseman made that trade for J.J. back in 2017. And here we are today. And I love it. I really, really do. I like all the rumors. I like following on Twitter, texting my brother, texting Dan, texting Eric. Hey, we're, this is going on, blah, 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 blah. Half an hour before the deadline, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we might get Jalen Johnson. Like just that level of excitement, middle of the season, like now there's 3 seasons for GMs. There's the trade deadline, there's free agency, and there's the draft. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful. I really enjoy this. Thank you, Howie Roseman, for making the trade deadline an exciting part of the football year. Because without you, we'd all be twiddling our thumbs on this day and just be handing out full-size Snickers and Batman costumes.
Yes, and thank you, John, for buying into the philosophy of just being as aggressive as possible when it comes to the trade deadline and free agency. Thank you for being an aggressive GM that gels so well with Kyle.
Not just aggressive, but just smart. An aggressive, smart GM. I know I give him kind of slack sometimes, but this was an aggressive, smart play. It really was. Like, I don't think anybody can look at this trade and say, oh, this was a bad trade. No one. I don't think anyone could look at that. And if you did, you need to get your head checked, or maybe you don't watch football or whatever. Because
Right.
like this is such a win trade for the 49ers that it's unbelievable. Like it's really John's getting up there in that master class of GMing now. And, scares me as an Eagles fan to see kind of like he's learning from his mistakes, so.
Right. I think with that, we do got to get out of here real quick. But first, of course, Royal Retros, we got to shout them out. They sponsor every single one of these episodes. RoyalRetros.com is your go-to place to get an authentic throwback jersey. They got all the major sports covered, but for you all 49er fans, they have a candlestick collection there right now, exclusively tailored to you, the 49er faithful. Go on there and find something nice for yourself and use our promo code below me, Shady Sports, to get 10% off your entire order. Again, it is Shady Sports in the promo code section at RoyalRetros.com. Go get yourself a Royal Retro jersey today, James.
All right, guys, wouldn't be a show unless we did our little speech on owner accountability. So if you read the news recently in the past couple of months, the Houston Texans minority owner was caught and charged with some very serious sexual crimes. We've also had the 49er owner in a inside trading scandal. And we've had plenty of other owners who have been doing very bad things that the NFL has just said, don't ask, don't tell. Wait till an independent news reporting agency has said it, and voila, the NFL not reporting on their owners. But we know if it was a player, we'd hear it right away. We'd hear that news as soon as it happened, what the player was involved in, what's going on in the league with the commissioner's office. We know all about that. We just don't hear it about the owners from the league. And we think it's time for that to change. That's why we have owner standards, or less than player standards, #owner accountability. And to show you we put our money where our mouth is, We are selling t-shirts on bonfire.com. Here's our statement: owner standards, less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, but we have all different colors, all different styles, all different sizes. And all the proceeds go to a Kentucky Crisis Center because that's where the crime happened. So next we have the charity-only owner standoff shirt with Dan Snyder in the middle in a standoff with the other owners. $22.99 gets you this in a tee. We have different styles, different sizes of that as well. Our next shirt is our podcast logo art. If you go on Apple Podcasts, if you go on Spotify, anywhere you listen to our podcast, you will see this logo. It's also on our channel. We put it on a t-shirt, $22.99, all different styles, all different sizes. We have the alternate logo, the nice classic Niner Nuts logo, red shirt, other different colors, $22.99, get you that in a tee or any others. Do we have other styles and massive amount of sizes? Next but not least, the Niner Nuts official mascot. How can you say no to a peanut eating peanuts while on the couch cheering for his San Francisco 49ers? $22.99 get you that. You're going to want to go to bonfire.com and just look up Niner Nuts Apparel or Google it, Niner Nuts Apparel Bonfire, and it's the first thing that comes up. Guys, donate to a crisis center today. All the proceeds go to charity because we don't want to make money off these. We want to help the community and give back and help, some people who are in real serious dire straits.
Absolutely. Again, we don't want any money from these shirts. They are very nice, very good material. Go to bonfire.com and know that you're not helping us, you're helping a family in Kentucky. So with that, this was a whole news episode, so I got nothing else to really add on to it. None of the other trades matter to me, the Niner fan. But yeah, guys, next week, we are still planning on doing some episodes, even though we're in the bye week. So just keep an eye out for that. Back to our normal schedule. We'll have 3 half-hour episodes like usual. Tomorrow is an hour-long big episode, so no episode on Friday. Look for our parlay picks on Twitter and all social media.
Yeah, look on Twitter for the Indiana Dan and Jimmy B's money line parlay. Since the 100th episode was an hour, that's what we're doing this year. We dropped this emergency podcast, so we're good to go, guys.
You got 4 this week, guys, or you got 3 this week after all, guys. So thank the trade deadline for that.
All right, guys. Well, Dan, are you able to play the theme music after this?
Not live. If I put this up in post, probably. But yeah, no. Sorry, Daniel Mayer, I didn't have enough turnaround time to get it pre-uploaded for this live broadcast. But
well,
I will the next time.
Justin you. So yeah,
Daniel Mayer made our graphic. I'm sorry.
If you're watching this live, I'm sorry we don't have the outro music, but I'll say it for the post edits. Outro music, River Road, Justin Muth.
I'll have it for the next one. But yeah, we'll see you next week, guys. Thank you for tuning in for our first live broadcast.